also love Anthony Slater, our 95.7 The Game insider here in the Boxer Girls and Guest Line. Anthony Slater does a great job covering the Golden State Warriors. And here we go. Lakers tonight, baby. Back in business for, I guess, quote-unquote, the second half of the season. 29 games left. Warriors are 14-14 at home. What do you think, Slater? With the Warriors winning 8 of their last 10 games, they're on a fire. Steph Curry's hot. Kuminga's playing well. Klay's coming off the bench. Where do you have the Warriors? Where do they stand here in the West post-All-Star break?
I still think they're in the worst position of these 6 teams, 5 through 10, that are all fighting for the different pods, obviously, because they have the worst record. 29 games left, so yeah, I think they have the most games of any teams. It's like their strength of schedule's not bad. You know, I know they have 3 Spurs games. They got a lot of games against inferior opponents, but you know, what do you to me, like, you need to at least get into the 7-8 bracket of the play-in, and obviously 5 or 6 is the target to get out of the play-in. What do they got to win out of 29 to get there? Like 20, like 20 and 9.
Can they win
5-6?
Can they win 20 to 21 games, Anthony?
I mean, you know, they're at Boston. They got 3 Lakers games, obviously, in this stretch. You know, they play the Bucks. I mean, you know, I guess every game is essentially winnable in the modern NBA. But you know, for this team to go 20 and 9 over a 29-game stretch, I mean, it's ambitious. You will be facing teams that are tanking more than they were, right? You know, that's the part of the NBA calendar where if you're heading out of the playoffs, you're almost wanting to lose games. So maybe they'll get some gimme wins there, but it's going to be a challenge. I'll say that.
Yeah, but if they do play well and they're rolling, Anthony, at the end of the season, teams like OKC and Minnesota don't want to see the Golden State Warriors, right?
No, they probably don't want to see the Lakers either. But, you know, should they want to see the Suns with KD, Booker? And, you know, there's a lot of danger at the bottom of the West. I mean, sure, if you could handpick your opponent, maybe you're going to help the Pelicans get into the 7 if you're the 2 seed, or, you know, even the Kings. But, yeah, you don't want to face Steph, but you don't want to face LeBron. So, I don't know. To me, the way, that's the truth about it. Like, the Warriors in no way are confirmed to be in the playoffs. But once they get in, I think the West might be wild this year.
Yeah, I think it will be too. I mean, like, if you're Minnesota, they're one of the best teams in the league, no doubt about it. But if they get into a series with the Warriors, how does that look? The pressure is different. Chet Holmgren all of a sudden in Oklahoma City. Maybe he's not getting those threes up late in the game. Those games could have went either way with the Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're probably saying the same thing when Steph hit that layup in the opening of the IST tournament. So when they do get in, you know, maybe they could strike fear into some of those younger teams, Anthony. But I guess my question here is then, what is success for this season's Warriors team? Is it a second-round playoff berth? Is it a championship? Is it a conference finals berth? What are you hearing inside that organization that says, okay, this is a successful season if this happens or if that happens? What is a successful season for the Warriors, Anthony?
Well, I mean, I guess that kind of depends on who you ask, right? If you're just talking to like Steph or Draymond or, you know, Steve Kerr, certainly Klay Thompson at this point, they're not going to be like, oh, you know, 1 round and out and we'll feel fine, right? They're still like having this faint idea of a title run, you know, especially at the stage they are in their career and life. If you were asking, you know, me, maybe a neutral observer, or even, you know, people within the front office, like, right, I think there's, you know, how does the youth look at the end of the season? Is Jonathan Kuminga still on this, you know, rapid upward trajectory? Does he get playoff experience? Sure, maybe they go deep into the second round and get eliminated, but maybe coming off that series, you're like, geez, Kuminga's like a top 2, top 3 type player.
Anthony, what if you were Mike Dunleavy and I asked you the same question and you answer for Mike Dunleavy? What do you think Mike Dunleavy says is a successful season here over the next 29 in the playoffs?
Look like a legit threat, number one. Have Steph Curry still look like, you know, an MVP candidate that for the next several seasons can maintain being a 1 on a title team. Draymond Green staying eligible and productive, right? You know, going through the playoff, through all this, and still, you know, having no more, you know, I guess, issues with the league. And then the young guys, as I mentioned, Kuminga, Pajemski, we can even go down to Trace Jackson-Davis, maybe a Moses Moody cameo, like those guys looking like they're on the ascent. And then Mike Dunleavy enters the offseason with still a top 5 player in the league, and then a core below him that feels to everyone on the outside world like they're rising, where he can, you know, bring the roster together next year with this layer of youth, or theoretically this summer when they might try to be creative, go out and use some of those pieces to get, you know, a bulkier, better top end of the roster to go really legitimately chase down a title next season. Because I don't know. I don't know how you feel. I'm still a little bit skeptical. Like, this team can go get a title.
Yeah, I don't know if they can get by Denver. We'll see how this whole thing shakes out. Your article, your piece on Podziemski, the fearless mindset of the Warriors, Brandon Podziemski. He's got a delusion to him as the title. Anthony, great piece, man. Outstanding stuff. What did you learn about Brandon Podziemski? I mean, and can you share some of the things in the article with the listeners right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, if anyone asks, like, oh, how long did it take you to report on it? It's one of those, like, when you're just around the team, you just kind of you're just gathering information and seeing, how this rookie that, I don't think looked to many people like he was going to step in and, gain the type of rotational role or respect that he has. Like, how did he do it, right? I mean, he's starting over Klay Thompson. Like, he just knocked Klay Thompson out of the starting and closing lineup in the last month. And so there's a little bit like, how is this being done? And, if anyone wants to read the article, to me, it's just like kind of a lot of behind the scenes stories about how he earned the trust of several members of the organization, really with, at times, like the annoying level of confidence that he has. Delusion was mentioned by Kevon Looney within it, but, Draymond told me a story that I know got a little bit of run, but it was just, he had sprained his ankle in preseason and he was coming back. They generated a scrimmage just for him that they were having the rookies playing because they need bodies. And Draymond commits a turnover, and Podziemski just starts, like, yelling at him that he can't do that.
Yeah.
And, Draymond's just, like, stunned. I mean, they've had rookies in the past, not to, call anybody out, but, like, Ryan Rollins, Patrick Baldwin recently, like, they barely are talking, right? And suddenly Draymond has a rookie kind of jumping down his throat for committing a turnover. And it was like, okay. And I think that's the first time he's like, all right, this guy's got a different type of mindset. And then, like, the truth is that what he has done, Podziemski, more than any other rookie they've had recently, is winning plays, right?
Yep.
Very high assist-to-turnover ratio. He leads the NBA in charges taken, 27 charges, 7 rebounds and 7 assists a game over the last month or so. He's playing 33 minutes. Steve Kerr is inserting him to be the inbounder in key moments, right? He has the inbound pass to Steph that set up that game winner against the Suns. They put him in as a defensive replacement late. I think when they drafted him, if you guys remember, I was like very skeptical. Like, can this guy defend? I'd say that's probably his better end of the floor right now, which is crazy. So it's a pretty remarkable story when you think about it, because you go back just a year, like he was considered like maybe like 50th overall pick on mock drafts. Like if you go back to this time last year.
The quote that Steph has in your piece is amazing. It's easier to tame a lion than to get a sheep to show some oomph. The most annoying parts about him are the greatest parts about him. He's still coachable. That's a big part of it. You can say all that stuff, but if you can't accept coaching, that's where it turns into being counterproductive. That's a huge quote from Steph Curry about Brandon Podziemski.
Steph likes him. The locker's right next door and right next to Steph's. And you can see, I remember even in preseason in LA, there was a post game where, Steph didn't play high minutes because it was preseason. And he's doing like a really heavy lift post game and doing he's going through a real, I guess, strenuous circuit. And Podziemski's just following him, like station to station, doing what he's doing. And like, you could tell even in a moment, like Steph's almost looking like, this rookie he's just following me, doing what I'm doing, right? And that's like the more annoying parts, right? He's just like, he tries to insert himself in every conversation. He's in the group chat, like ripping on veterans, and it's like, whack this little kid away, man, like stop it. But then it's like, he's doing it to learn stuff. He's doing it to try to insert himself, and then he's getting on the court, and that's the main thing here, right? It would be a lot more annoying if he wasn't just producing on a nightly basis. So once he's doing that, Steph sees, look, he's helping this late stage of my career. So they've really embraced him.
Let me ask you this, Anthony. We have Anthony Slater here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game, FPN for Shasky. What you know about FP Sanchangelo? We'll get to that in just a second, Anthony. You get your baseball knowledge. Anthony's a big Cleveland Guardians fan, believe it or not. Cleveland Guardians. Random.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah, I guess this is cool.
He likes torture.
He likes Major League, the movie, I guess. I don't know.
It has been torture.
It has been torture. What's more likely over the next 29 games? Steve Kerr coaching his final 29 games as head coach of the Warriors, or Klay Thompson playing in his final 29 games as a member of the Golden State Warriors?
These are the questions where you're trying to get me aggregated, right?
No, I'm just having a conversation. I know, look, I don't do anything with the Twitter stuff. I leave it alone. Our Twitter account gets me in trouble, believe it or not. I have nothing to do with it. Blame Sam Lutman for that.
I'll just say this. I would probably, if I had to choose one of those two, speculatively, I would say it's more likely that it would be Klay's final 29 because his money is taxed and his money is a lot harder as like a Tetris piece to fit with the whole second apron coming. And Joe Lacob even mentioning to Tim Kawakami the other day that they might even try to get out of the tax. Like
right.
there's a little motivation for that. Like, Klay Thompson's making $43 million. He's going to have to take some type of pay cut, but the Warriors would have to really have him take a pay cut if you're going to get under the tax. So to me, there's a lot more complications there, and there's more suitors out there that I think would be kind of potentially there to steal Klay Thompson away. Whereas Steve Kerr, the money's not taxed. As long as both sides want to be around, everything Steve Kerr said is he wants to coach long term. Every time I've talked to him on or off the record, he's very motivated to continue coaching the Warriors. And Joe Lacob has only said and shown that he does want Steve Kerr here long term. So I think they'll come to an agreement. It's just about a dollar amount eventually.
So Klay, if he does hit the open market, so I got a bet with a couple YouTubers here that Klay could get up to $30 million a year. What do you think Klay will demand on the open market, or what teams would be willing to give him if he does bolt from the Golden State Warriors and say in Orlando or Philadelphia, Milwaukee? What do you think he gets per year in his next deal?
Yeah, I think, look, he turned out 2 for 48, so it's about 24 a year as an extension this past summer. You'd say he's probably, lost some value with the season he's had. He has career lows right now. I would guess like the 20 range, but all you need is one team that's willing to overpay, right? Like the Rockets last year gave Van Vliet whatever they gave him a year. It was over 30. Yeah. They gave Dylan Brooks over 20 when I'm not sure anybody else in the league was giving Dylan Brooks more than the mid-level exception. So if there is a team out there, and I know the Orlando Magic's been floated recently by Shams, by Mark Stein. It's also something I've heard. Like if they're just, hey, like, they have, if they generate a decent amount of cap space, want a Klay Thompson type personality and a shooter, a spacer, because offense is their problem at times in the building, maybe they would overpay, and go to what you're talking about, like a $30 million range.
Right.
And that maybe that depends on how the rest of his season goes. But generally, my guess would be down more towards like 20.
Gotcha. Anthony Slater, he'll be at Chase Center tonight. When the second half of the season gets underway, it gets the LA Lakers and no LeBron James. However, last time these two teams played out, it was an absolute classic at Chase Center. And the Warriors have won 8 of 10 since that double OT loss to the LA Lakers back on that Saturday night a few weeks ago. Anthony, continue the great work at The Athletic, man. We'll talk to you next week, and I'll see you at Chase tonight.
Yeah, all right, fellas. See you.
Anytime. Anthony Slater on. I forgot to ask him about FP. It's a big baseball.
Dude, no. We don't need to ask. No, stop.
What's your favorite FP moment? Fire hydrant. What was your favorite FP moment?
Stop.